Hello everyone, welcome to the market outlook for the week. Gaurang Shah here from Geojit Investments Limited, and as I speak to all of you all this Monday morning at around about 10 o'clock, after yesterday's sell-off post the announcements made by the Honorable Finance Minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharamanji, there has been recovery. Recovery was that even yesterday actually, if you go to see when the announcements were made related to STT, the Sensex was down close to about 2100 points odd, and Nifty was down about 700 odd points. And then by the time we recovered, we had recovered a bit of ground, but we did close in red yesterday. And as we get back to trade this first day of the week, Monday morning, there has been recovery in the markets, close to 300 points plus on the Sensex and about 90 plus points on the Nifty. It remains to be seen whether the day is going to be choppy and volatile, and what is the reaction from the institutional front, especially the FIs on the budget front. But we have recovered ground, and I think stability is something that we need to see in this kind of an choppy market. The range for the Nifty broadly is 24,400 to 24,500 on the lower side, 24,900 to 25,000 on the higher side, where we are trading right now. If we are able to close decisively about 25,000 on closing basis, then I think the upward momentum can take us a little bit higher. But this is the broad range. On the India VIX front, absolutely flat, 15.22, absolutely no movement, very flat on the India VIX front. And on the rupee dollar equation, strength in the rupee, 91.62 is the level of rupee against each dollar, and there is a strength of 0.36 paise. On NYMEX and Brent, a little bit of downward tick. Brent is trading at about $66.27 to a barrel, and NYMEX is trading at about $62.23 a barrel. Expect the downward trajectory to continue because the spike up that we saw last week on the crude oil front was more because of the geopolitical tension and the statements made by US on Iran and the fear in the world community about disruption in the most important global supply lines, that is the Strait of Hormuz. Again, it's an evolving story, it's a developing story. We'll react to it, and the crude oil prices will react to it as and when these kind of situations unfold. So broadly, I think in the budget, if you actually go to see, there was no negative. The continuation process that was laid out by this government about Vikshit Bharat and Atmanirbhar Bharat has continued in the budget yesterday. This was the 13th budget by the current government and by the current finance minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharamanji, which was the ninth budget. And if you actually go to see the reforms, employment generation in certain sectors, especially related to services, they have done quite a bit. Allocation towards railways, defense, empowering common man, Nari Shakti, etc., etc. So there was nothing negative, but one particular thing which we all know right now is the increase in STT from 0.02% to 0.05%. This is limited to what my understanding is futures and options. Equities. For traders, I think it is up to their intelligence and fine sense of judgment how they want to view this particular thing. But the fact is that the medium to long term impact of this budget is going to be very, very positive. The continuation process has been kept in mind, and I think the budget was laid out and formed from that particular point of view. So my overall sense is that possibly in the next couple of days, budget will be done and dusted. And one more thing that I would like to highlight over here is, as mentioned by the by Minister Piyush Goyal, that one deal is done and dusted, mother of all deals between India and European Union. And last week, there was a statement made by Mr. Piyush Goyal that the trade agreement or trade deal regarding between India and US for the tariff related issues is virtually at its final stages. Now, if nothing goes wrong and if there is some positive news flows on this particular front, then I think this negativity of budget will be over. And like every year, actually, if you go to see, uh, market tends to forget the budget after some time, and then we start to talk about what is in front of us and what is likely to come in front of us in the future. So overall, my sense is that positivities will be there in the market, and for investors, I think this is a great time to cherry pick and start picking up investable ideas after this particular correction. For traders, use your fine sense of judgment and wisdom and do the trades accordingly. Q3 earnings, whatever we've seen, no disappointment is the big positivity. And of course, there are a lot of numbers that we need to see as far as third quarter earnings is concerned. On the news flows, as I mentioned about India-US trade deal, there will be positivity. And of course, the sell side number from FIs continue to be on the negative side, and domestic institutions continue to buy on the positive side. Broad range for the markets we have laid out in front of you. Close about 25,000 will possibly gather momentum, and I think we will move about 25,000 in a couple of days. But yes, news flows, local, global, and the earning season is going to be the driving force, at least in the future, now that the budget is done and dusted. So, like always, we give you two investment ideas, and these investment ideas are basically kept in mind, keeping in budget in mind. First one is, and of course, you saw correction yesterday in defense related investment companies also. So, first one is a public sector company, which we've already discussed earlier, Bharat Electronics Limited. I think this correction is a great time to buy, despite of the overhang of the budget. I think earnings were much better than what the street estimated for BEL. Good order book, strong execution track record, and equal is the experience and capability and capacity of the company. So BL is the first investment idea from a long-term point of view. Yeah, one disclosure that all investment ideas that we'll be sharing this morning in this video are part of our fundamental research team recommendations of our company Geojit or we do not have any personal investments, no financial interest, no conflict of interest, but we give advice to our clients on similar lines. They might have their investment interest. So the first one is BL. Second one is, again, yesterday there was positivities on the auto pack, and we expect the auto sector to do well, especially the commercial vehicle related themes. This is one particular company which is focused into commercial vehicle, Ashok Leyland. Stellar set of numbers, good month-on-month sales number, and I think positivity in terms of a larger market share is evolving quite strong. So, and from where both these stocks are trading, the downside is extremely limited. Both these investment ideas on the fundamental side start investing from current levels, and on depths go on adding it and make a decent portfolio. But let me tell you, friends, these are the times to possibly look at investment ideas after the correction and build up a strong portfolio. Choppiness, volatility will be there, but the momentum seems to be on the higher side, considering that correction that we've seen from the highest level of 26,300 plus to the current levels where we saw yesterday and where we are trading right now. So cherry pick and look at long-term investment time horizon. Thank you very much for your patience hearing. I'll see you again next week. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.